It's Friday, October 10th, 2025, and here's what's happening inside the federal machine. China just sent letters around the world announcing their immediate intention to impose vast export controls on rare earth minerals, which is causing downturns across the global economy. Just after 5 o'clock Eastern Time, over $400 billion disappeared from the cryptocurrency market within minutes, most likely related to the economic volatility following China's announcement. President Trump announced an immediate 100% tariff against all Chinese goods, which may lead the economy to even shakier ground. Combine this with the partial government shutdown, and the economy looks truly uncertain. If you haven't heard yet, President Trump was not named as the Nobel Peace Prize recipient today, but the winner dedicated the award to President Trump. Last night, the Senate passed provisions of the NDAA, which gives pay raises to troops as well as other resources and training opportunities, but the government has to reopen before they receive their raise. The pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca just announced their investment of $50 billion into the United States for research and development of new drugs. They are also following Pfizer's lead by discounting prescriptions across the board and offering them on the TrumpRx.gov site. A man was arrested for threatening to kill Benny Johnson, as well as his wife and their 4 children, and Benny gives a statement on the ordeal, and there's a lot more that happened today, so I'm just gonna dive right in. And if you enjoyed the video, please give the video a like if you have a quick second, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video. I do the Swamp Monday through Friday every evening, usually posts around 10 o'clock in the evening. That's usually the earliest that I usually get it out. And also, every article that you will see in the video, it will be linked down below, so you can just check the description if you want to check anything that I'm putting up on screen. I usually don't have enough time to read every word of every article, so therefore I link it below if you want to finish it yourself. So I'm going to start right here with News Nation. Quote, "We have 19 souls that we're looking for." A sheriff in Tennessee became emotional as he described the aftermath of an explosion at a military explosives factory, as 19 people are missing and feared dead. I know it's not swamp related, but this is huge news. Honestly, I don't watch the mainstream media. I don't even have cable TV, but I can only imagine this is probably on every channel where there's cable news. And if there's not, then I don't know what the fuck they're doing, because we're talking 19 people that were killed. And I believe it's in a military ammunitions factory. So you can only imagine the horrors that ensued when the explosion happened. But anyway, this is a statement from the sheriff, so we'll give this a play here. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just check something. All right, I had to check my sound, but we're good to go.
We have been able to confirm that we do have 19 souls. That we're looking for. So, excuse me.
Man, oh man, that's awful, man. And I'm not sure if it's around.
Can I describe the building?
If it's in a major city.
There's nothing to describe.
Might be a rural area, maybe.
It's again, it's the most devastating scene that I've seen in my career.
Wow, man. Nearby security camera. Good grief, man.
I can tell you that we've had, there are fatalities. Do I want to put a number to that? Because I always, and those of you that have known me in the past, I always wish for the best. Is there a possibility that somebody might be injured somewhere, or somebody that we don't know about? Yes. I can tell you right now that we're looking for 19 individuals. And a lot of times when I have this types of situation, I refer to them more than just a person. They're a soul to me.
Oh, man, that's absolutely heartbreaking. So I'm not sure if there's any footage just yet. Let me just check YouTube real quick to see. I just came across this, like, not even like 10 minutes before I hit record, so I figured it was worth mentioning. Let's see. Not sure if there'd be any footage. I figured YouTube would be a good place to start. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Sky 5. Oh man, this sound is absolutely atrocious, and it's maxed out too. I got it maxed.
From the location we noticed shortly after takeoff from John 2.
But anyway, it's just somebody in the helicopter saying that we noticed smoke immediately after taking off. Good grief, man. There's just debris all over the place. I'm assuming, well, I don't know if that was the parking lot or not.
This is reportedly at the accurate.
Let's see what else we got.
By,
wow, man. So there's nothing left of the building.
Just based on this large plume of smoke, as we get closer to the scene, we'll show
Holy
you.
shit, man. Okay, we did see this. In Lubbockville, Tennessee. Wow, man. All right, well, I'll bring it up on a map and see if I can locate Lubbockville. Lobelville, I think. Yeah, let me do one more search. Let me check maps. And all right, hold on. I don't want to dox myself because even though I open it up on a private browser, it's like way zoomed in, like exactly where I live. So I don't want to do that. So did I spell it right? Yeah, here we go. I think I did. So this is the general area where the explosion happened. Let me full screen it. See if I can bring this. Okay. All right, state of Tennessee. So it's, okay, well, it's a little bit east of Nashville, in between Memphis and Nashville. So it's definitely in a rural area. Here it is. Accurate Energetic Systems LLC explosion. So it is definitely out in the middle of nowhere. It's very rural. So I can only imagine the reason why the sheriff was emotional while giving this statement. It's because it's in a very rural area and literally everybody knows everybody. So I can only imagine like the number of people he knew that were in that facility. So let's see what Google Maps is saying. They usually have something brief on here. Open information, official updates on Facebook, government updates, updates on X. Let me see. On Friday, explosion was reported. News Channel 5, they've got a clip. I don't know if it'll be the same one. Maybe if it is, at least it might have decent sound. But I'm not for sure. I'm just seeing this for the first time myself. It doesn't sound like they're narrating at all. Holy moly, man. That freaking music. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be copyrighted or not. Probably is, but... So that's some footage. Just nothing left, man. There's nothing there. It just looks like just a piece of... just the side of the building. And... I mean, I imagine this is just all... Here, let me go back a little bit. I mean, that looks like just the foundation here. Like, there's literally nothing here. Which is absolutely mind-boggling, dude. This is fucking horrible. Absolutely horrible. So, yeah, that happened. I imagine that they're probably going to give an update at some point. I mean, look, this was, like, the footage was 3 hours ago when it was uploaded. And the statement was an hour ago on WSMV. So, yeah, I mean, a devastating blast. Heard from miles away. Even shook that camera from, I think they said it was miles away. So, just absolutely horrifying. So, anyway, yeah, that happened. And I figured might as well at least mention it because that's probably, I mean, as far as the mainstream news is concerned, I'm assuming that's going to be one of the leading stories of the weekend. Hopefully, they might find somebody. But if the building looked like that and there's literally nothing left, I mean, there's really... I don't know, not much to be said about it. So anyway, hope they rest in peace. Hope the families, you know, they go through the grieving process okay. I'm not really good with stuff like this, to be honest with you. But I mean, I really hope that I don't know, man. Maybe a few people left early. Maybe half the people, maybe most of the people left, and there were only a couple of people there. I mean, that's, you know, trying to hope for the best. Trying to look at the glass as half full as humanly possible, But anyway, I'll see if I can get an update on that tomorrow. Usually, I don't do the swamp over the weekend, but I usually do a couple of videos of just random whatever I come across over the weekend. So I'll probably look for an update to that and see if they have any confirmation. If there's any luck, maybe the 19 people that work there, maybe there were less than that many who just happened to be in the building when it happened. But yeah, anyway, prayers to the families. So anyway... This comes from the Daily Caller. ICE agents, they detained the WGN TV producer Debbie Brockman in Chicago this morning for allegedly assaulting a federal officer. And look at this crazy-ass dingbat, man. This lady looks fucking psychopathic. If there was ever someone who should have been named Karen, it would have been her. Absolutely just... obviously, I'm sure that they grabbed that still image because she looks like a freaking psychopath. So... yeah, so she got arrested. She assaulted a federal officer. When you assault a federal officer, you could face up to 20 years in prison for doing so. So I'm not sure if she's going to get 20 years. She might end up having to do some time, though. She very well could be. And, yeah, I mean, I remember WGN. I used to watch WGN when I was a kid. I think Animaniacs was on that channel. I don't know. That was a really long time ago, but... anyway, so yeah, that happened. And also from 10 Tampa Bay, this is just local to me. I thought this was... amazing and also fascinating at the same time. One of Florida's largest grocery store chains says it will allow open carry at all of their Florida store locations following an appeals court ruling last month. And we're talking about Publix, baby. Publix grocery stores. And it was 10 Tampa Bay, or WTSP, same thing. They didn't get confirmation from Publix corporate if that is their ironclad policy. They may have actually gotten an update. I first read this last night, so they might have actually gotten an update from corporate. But what they did, they called around a whole bunch of different locations around the state to see what their policies were while they waited on word from corporate. And every store location they called and spoke to the manager, they said, yes, we are allowing open carry in our stores because that's the law of the state of Florida. So naturally, yes, we are permitting the open carrying of firearms in our store, which is absolutely just amazing. Now, somebody reported on Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie, in my opinion, is probably the second largest grocery store chain that we have here in Florida. And Winn-Dixie says, no go. No, you cannot carry firearms in Winn-Dixie. We are not allowing you to do so because we want our customers to feel comfortable and safe. That's their wording. They want them to be comfortable and safe. I don't know what would be more safe than, watching a guy with like an AR slung around his back while he's pushing a buggy, grabbing friggin' food from the grocery store. I don't think that the store is going to really get messed with if you got somebody like that just casually grocery shopping. But I get it, though. I get it. There's a lot of tourists that come here, and a lot of them come from outside the country, and guns already freak them out as it is. And just to, watch just people casually just walking around open carrying, I understand. 911 is going to get a lot of calls for a while because the state of Florida just overturned the law from back in, I think it was 1987, that banned open carrying. So now you can open carry anywhere you damn well please. Unless the business prohibits it. If they prohibit it, they have to kindly ask you to leave, or else you'll get trespassed. So anyway, Publix made the announcement on its website saying, in part, we allow federal, state, and local laws, as is true for many issues which arise every day. Publix leaves it to the discretion of store managers to determine if a customer is creating a threatening, erratic, or dangerous shopping experience, whether they are openly carrying a firearm or not, and engage local law enforcement to protect our customers and associates. So if there's a problem, doesn't matter if the guy has a gun or not. If there's a problem with anybody in the store, they're calling the police. That's essentially where they're getting at. 10 Tampa Bay News spoke to some customers at Tampa Bay area stores who had mixed emotions overall. Oh yeah, dude. It also depends on where you're going. I mean, we have conservative areas. We've got lefty areas. Wouldn't surprise me if they went after the more left-leaning locations so they can kind of fit their narrative, because 10 Tampa Bay is a bit left-leaning. So anyway, they at least one person, the one that they led with, said, I support our governor, and I believe that if he's allowing this, that he has our best interest in mind, Publix customer Erica McKeon told 10 Tampa Bay News. So, I mean, they led the article with someone who's agreeing with it. And someone else said they have some concerns. As someone that has a concealed carry permit, dude, it's irrelevant. It's void. I mean, yeah, I guess you could have a concealed carry permit, but you don't really, it's not really a void permit anymore. They've allowed a concealed carrying of firearms without a permit. Florida's been a permitless carry state for over a year now. So you don't need a permit. It's irrelevant. As long as you don't have a felony, as long as you don't have a documented mental illness, dishonorably discharged from the military, documented drug addiction, domestic violence, you're good. You're all good. You can carry a gun anywhere you want. You don't have to get the government's permission anymore. So anyway, I'm not going to get hung up on this. I just felt that, or I just saw that. Thought it was interesting. Figured I should mention it. Of course, not swamp related, but come on, man. I couldn't pass that up. Florida is the largest grocery store chain that we have in the state. And it's not just Florida. Publix is all over the Southeast. So that might actually surprise some people who has a local Publix, or maybe it won't surprise you. I don't know. So this comes from Reuters. Thousands of displaced Palestinians are now streaming back toward their homes after a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas went into effect and Israeli troops began pulling back from parts of Gaza. So we got a short video clip showing people returning to, well, what's left of their homes at least. So we got sound, just horns honking, people kind of shuffling.
We couldn't get our furniture out, or our clothes, or anything. Not even winter clothes. Nothing is left at the house. We couldn't get into the house.
Yeah, man, they bombed the shit out of that place, man.
The destruction is huge and indescribable. Indescribable. It is almost all in ruins and not suitable for living in. It used to take me 3 minutes to reach the street from my house. Now it takes an hour and a quarter stepping over the rubble to reach the rubble of my house.
Good grief. Well, as part of the peace deal, the United States and Israel, and I believe it's other neighboring Muslim countries in the Middle East, they are supposed to be pulling together and cleaning up all the rubble. That's part of the peace agreement, is that that for the people of Palestine, Gaza Strip, whatever the hell you want to call it, they're going to be cleaning up everything. They're going to rebuild all the hospitals and the public facilities. It's all going to be paid for by whatever foreign governments. I mean, come on, let's be real. It's going to be like 95% paid for by us, the United States taxpayers, most likely. So anyway, from the Daily Caller, breaking: the entire staff at the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund was RIF today fired. U.S. Department of Treasury, the CDFI Fund, the Community Development Financial Institution Fund. And this is from Adam Pack. New, an administration official confirms to the Daily Caller the entire staff at the Community Development Financial Institutions, CDFI Fund, was RIF'd today. The fund had roughly 100 staff as of 2024. I think it's, yeah, okay. It's from the Daily Caller, so they definitely have to have an article linked. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So let's take a look at this. I don't think Daily Caller paywalls. Pretty sure they don't. So the White House began conducting mass layoffs on Friday amid a prolonged government shutdown, including slashing an entire department under the U.S. Department of the Treasury. The entire staff of the Community Financial Institutions Fund received a layoff notice on Friday, an administration official confirmed to the Daily Caller News Foundation. The program's elimination comes as White House officials repeatedly warned that the administration would pursue mass firings and budget cuts if Democrats did not reverse course and reopen the government. And the agency employs 102 full-time staff, according to its most recent annual report published earlier this year. The CDFI Fund, they claim to expand economic opportunity for underserved people and communities by supporting the growth and capacity of financial institutions. It sounds a little woke to me. It sounds a little DEI-ish. So critics have argued the agency has drifted from its mission and become politicized. Oh, I guarantee they have. Just the name alone is just a glaring red flag. The RIFs have begun, President Donald Trump's budget chief Russ Vought wrote on X Friday, using an acronym for reductions in force. The reduction in force plans are expected to impact departments across the government. It is unclear how many federal workers will ultimately receive layoff notices. So the article continues from there. Let's see. The fund awarded $4.9 million to Local Initiative Support Corporation, which publishes material condemning whiteness in community development, also supports LGBTQ clinics, gender-affirming hormone therapy, so transgender stuff, and granted $6.7 million to Clearinghouse, CDFI, fashion show permitting transgenderism. So we got all that going on. Yeah, I'd say it's just gotten a little bit politicized. Probably not exactly the most essential department in the federal government, but that'll be linked if you want to check it out. And let's go back to the next article. I got a lot to get through, man. It's a busy Friday night. One American News. Okay, so I already went over this. We already showed the video and everything, but I will at least link it. So if you want to read the article in detail, because I don't think the last one had an article. I think it was just the video. But maybe I'm wrong. No, I don't see an article, but there is one now from One American News. If you want to check it out in the description. And next we have, wait a minute, where are we? Just want to make sure I'm in the right spot. If Obamacare was actually affordable, it wouldn't need to be subsidized by taxpayers. Repeal Obamacare. So this was trending. That's why I bookmarked this, because it's trending right now. Let me take a quick look. At least it was on my phone. Sometimes it doesn't match up. Nope. See, it's not here. It was right here earlier. Jimmy Kimmel dismisses Antifa as imaginary on ABC monologue. That is fucking hilarious, dude. Taking a page out of Joe Biden's playbook. Isn't that what Joe Biden said on the debate stage? Antifa's just an idea. Come on, man. So anyway, it was trending earlier. That's why I grabbed it. Yeah. So he's saying repeal it, and I couldn't agree with him more. Even though the damage is probably well done at this point. If you repeal Obamacare, will we get 2009 insurance again? Because I would sure love to have that back. I'd sure love to only be able to have to pay like $180 a month for $250 in the inpatient or in the hospital for an unlimited amount of time. $250 flat. That's it. Go to the emergency room, $100 flat. Doesn't matter what you have done. You know, and on down the list from there. Yeah, the insurance back then was phenomenal compared to where it is now. All right, so anyway, I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty, man, the real bombshell that happened today. So this is from the House Foreign Affairs Committee majority, and they are replying to President Trump's Truth Social account. I'm going to start with that from Rapid Response 47. They're the ones that posted this. And President Trump says, deep breath, some very strange things are happening in China. They are becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world, and they want to impose export controls on each and every element of production having to do with rare earth minerals and virtually anything else they can think of, even if it's not manufactured in China. Nobody has ever seen anything like this, but essentially it would clog the markets and make life difficult for virtually every country in the world, especially for China. We have been contacted by other countries who are extremely angry at this great trade hostility, which came out of nowhere. Our relationship with China over the past 6 months has been a very good one, thereby making this move on trade an even more surprising one. I have always felt that they've been lying in wait, and now, as usual, I have been proven right. There is no way that China should be allowed to hold the world captive, but that seems to have been their plan for quite some time, starting with the magnets. Yeah, you remember the rare earth magnets, and they were really clamping down on the exporting of magnets to start with, because they use magnets in all kinds of stuff, electronics and all kinds of things, as well as other elements that they have quietly amassed into somewhat of a monopoly position. A rather sinister and hostile move, to say the least. But the U.S. has monopoly positions also, much stronger and more far-reaching than China's. I have not chosen to use them. There was never a reason for me to do so until now. The letter they sent is many pages long and details with great specificity each and every element that they want to withhold from other nations. Things that were routine are no longer routine at all. I have not spoken to President Xi because there was no reason to do so. This was a real surprise, not only to me, but to all the leaders of the free world. I was to meet President Xi in 2 weeks at APEC in South Korea, but now there seems to be no reason to do so. The Chinese letters were especially inappropriate, and that this was the day that, after 3,000 years of bedlam and fighting, there is peace in the Middle East. I wonder if that timing was coincidental. Depending on what China says about the hostile order that they have just put out, I will be forced, as President of the United States of America, to financially counter their move. For every element that they have been able to monopolize, we have two. I never thought it would come to this, but perhaps, as with all things, the time has come. Ultimately, though potentially painful, it will be a very good thing in the end for the USA. One of the policies that we are calculating at this moment is a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese products coming into the United States of America. There are many other countermeasures that are likewise under serious consideration. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. And the number that I've been seeing is 100%. It looks like he might be raising the tariffs against China across the board, 100%. And that might actually stick this time. Because, it was really volatile back in the spring. But, I mean, if China makes this move and they stick with it, which it sounds like they might actually be doing so, then, yeah, we're probably going to be stuck with 100% Chinese tariffs, which it kind of blew my mind. I thought like 80% of all the shit that we use in the country was made in China, but no, it's actually like 13%. It's actually somewhat of a small percentage, but still a pretty large percentage of our shit is made in China. So imagine if a Democrat was president right now. Imagine what they would do. They would just bend over and fucking take it, wouldn't they? I'm sure they would. So, but fortunately, with President Trump and the Department of the Interior and the Department of Energy, they are really bolstering not only our energy, but also our mining. They've opened up this enormous lithium mine. I think it was in Nevada that they recently started either working or speculating. I can't remember what they're doing yet, but they're paving the way to manufacture, mine lots and lots of lithium, which is what we use in our batteries. So it's very important because I think China's got a monopoly on lithium. And I know up in Nevada, there's a whole bunch of different minerals that they're mining the hell out of in Nevada or in Iowa, or not Iowa, fucking Utah. Up in Utah, a lot of rare earth minerals up in Utah. So very good news. Not the whole China prospect. So I don't know what we're going to see with this. I would imagine that other first world countries are probably going to suffer a lot more than the United States will because we have so many resources in North America. Thank God. So anyway, the House Foreign Affairs Committee majority said Xi Jinping has overplayed his hand. President Trump has continued to engage with Xi in good faith on trade negotiations that would put the U.S. and China on equal footing. Generosity has its limits, and the U.S. will not allow China to hold global supply chains hostage. And we do have one more from President Trump from the White House, and it's a quote that's in the message, so I'll just read the message. Also from Donald J. Trump's Truth Social. It has just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade in sending an extremely hostile letter to the world stating that they were going to, effective November 1st, 2025, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make, and some not even made by them. This affects all countries without exception and was obviously a plan devised by them years ago. It is absolutely unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. This is why you don't fuck with a communist country, man. This is why you don't fuck with China. Like I said, back in the 1970s, that they wanted cheap labor, why the fuck didn't they just go to India? At least they got a democracy. At least like 30% of them, give or take, speak fucking English. Anyway, based on the fact that China has taken this unprecedented position and speaking only for the USA, and not other nations who were similarly threatened, starting November 1st, 2025, or sooner, depending on any further actions or changes taken by China, the United States of America will impose a tariff of 100% on China over and above any tariff that they are currently paying. Also on November 1st, we will impose export controls on any and all critical software. It is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. This, I don't know how far-reaching that this is going to be. It sounds like it's really going to cause some crippling damage to probably quite a few different industries out there. I guess we're just going to have to see how what follows in the coming weeks. November 1st, I guess mark your calendar. We'll just have to see what happens. But he said 100% tariffs above and beyond where they're currently at. So we're not talking 100% tariffs. We're talking 120, 140, 150. I think it's depending on what materials and goods that are being imported into the U.S. from China. Or maybe it is a flat percentage. There's been so many tariffs that have been announced. I can't even remember which one China was had. Ballpark, I want to say it was 35%, but I don't quote me on that. It could be 15% maybe. All right. Anyway, moving on to Benny Johnson, dude. This is crazy. Chairman Joe Gruthers, he says, thank God Benny and his family are safe, and thank you to AG Pam Bondi and the Trump administration for acting swiftly to protect them. This is appalling. How many times does this need to happen? When will Democrats stop with their insane rhetoric that fuels this? They're not, because they're losing power, because the Democrats are in free fall. They're in collapse, and the only thing that they can think of to do right now is just get as sanely hyperbolic as they possibly can. Just try to scare everybody into voting for him. So this happened to Benny Johnson, and he says, an individual has been arrested for threatening to kill my wife, my 4 children, and me. He sent a letter to my home saying he hated our views and wanted us dead. He is being charged federally and faces prison time. I want to thank President Trump, AG Pam Bondi, and the Department of Justice for immediately acting and saving my family. We are forever grateful. Isn't it nice when you know the right people? I mean, it's not like we live in a 2-tiered system or anything. No, I'm not saying justice system, even though we totally partially do at the very least. But isn't it nice when you got friends in like ultra high places, how they could just right on the ball, just take care of business for you? Anyway, left-wing violence is exploding with copycats appearing everywhere. It is the greatest threat to our country today, targeting people for simply speaking the truth. Let me be absolutely clear. We will not be silenced. We will not back down. We will not break. You lit a fire that cannot be put out. Charlie Kirk taught us to go on offense. That is exactly what we will do. We will work harder, speak louder, and grow stronger. We will continue to move TPUSA's mission forward for Charlie. Thank you for your strong leadership to the President, AG Bondi, and the Justice Department. So he's got a statement that he's also going to say here.
Today,
and I'll play it.
I witnessed my friend of 10 years.
Okay, so Pam Bondi's right there. All right.
Considered a brother, a loving husband, a devoted father, a generational leader, get assassinated on a live stream by a left-wing radical. Approximately 1 year ago, I witnessed the President of the United States get shot in the head.
Yep,
by a
shot
left-wing
in
radical,
the head. Yes, he did.
who also took the life of a Trump supporter in front of his daughters and wife. 2 months ago.
Yeah, call it what it is, man. That's
Christian
what happened.
children kneeling and praying in a church were slaughtered by a left-wing extremist. And 2 weeks ago, federal law enforcement was shot at multiple sniper rounds in a federal facility
in Dallas
by a left-wing extremist.
You heard it here on the Swamp last week.
If it's happening
or
every
2
single
weeks
week, is it that extreme? Or has the Democrat Party mainstreamed violence as a political tool? The individual who wrote me described why he wanted me dead. I was a white, cis, Christian Trump supporter.
Yeah, cis, dead giveaway, leftist.
They described in great detail how I would be killed in an open field, just
political
like Charlie.
cult speak.
How much blood would come out of my head and neck when it was blown off. This individual described orphaning my 4 beautiful children and widowing my wife with great joy. You might want to say, another left-wing radical, another extremist. And to that, I would like to direct your attention to the state of Virginia, where Democrats have nominated and are about to vote for the chief law enforcement officer in that state, a man who has done the exact same thing. An individual who's calling for the assassination by bullets of Republicans that he disagrees with. The killing of their children. The slaughtering of, as he says, little fascists. Are my 4 innocent, beautiful children little fascists? Violence has been mainstreamed by the Democrat Party. It is not extremist, it is mainstream. And we need a moment of reckoning here. This has to stop. This cycle must end. Is any Democrat courageous enough to disavow violence? To call for individuals that espouse these things, like what happened to my family, or what's happening in Virginia, to call for those kind of candidates to step down? Will Democrats vote for that? Because if you're voting for that, then implicitly you're encouraging it. You're endorsing it. I don't want political violence. I want peace in my nation. I love this country. I want to be able to debate like Charlie did. I want to be able to raise my family in peace. That is our birthright. But you cannot make peace with evil as a Christian. You cannot unite with people who want you dead. I want unity in this nation. I want to be able to agree on more than what we disagree on. But for that first to happen, we must understand the battle. We are fighting good versus evil, darkness versus light.
100%.
Good must conquer evil.
Evil.
Do not make peace with evil. To that end, and in conclusion, I would like to thank federal law enforcement, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the FBI, the DOJ, the Tampa Police Department, the detectives here, with absolute
I always forget he lives.
accuracy,
I live in Tampa Bay.
professionalism,
I always forget he lives around here.
courtesy, swift and tact they were able to act instantly in order to make sure that my family was safe, potentially to preserve the lives of my children, and they're doing that for families all around the country in many different ways. Every American should unite behind that cause. No matter who you are, you should say, this is a country where families should be able to raise their children safely, where people can have peaceful disagreements, and where we can all live together under one American flag. I just want to profoundly thank the Trump administration and federal law enforcement and local law enforcement for saving my family. I will never forget it. It is the greatest goodness that has ever been done to me. And that is a thing that every American can get behind. The Trump administration making America safe again. God bless them.
All right, man. Well, this obviously, it really rattled them, and they actually caught the guy, but he's already said before that he's gotten countless death threats, and I'm sure, like conservatives, they get death threats all the time. I'm sure every fucking day that they get this shit. And this ain't the first time this happened to Benny. When he lived in Washington, D.C., someone lit his fucking house on fire with his family inside, and he's actually uploaded that video more than once to his profile, or over on X at least. I mean, just imagine what other conservative influencers are going through. I mean, like, look at Tim Pool, for instance. He's not even a conservative. I think he calls himself classically liberal or whatever, but he's been doxxed like 15 fucking times in the last few years. The first time was during his show, and it was raided by, not the feds, it was raided by like the local police or sheriffs or something like that, but his show was just like the studio was emptied out for like 2 hours or some shit while he was getting doxxed. So I don't know if I don't think this dude showed up to Benny's house. It doesn't sound like it. So I don't know if it just in this instance, they just happened to be able to just follow it. Maybe his fingerprints were on it or something, and they were actually able to catch the asshole who did it. I'd be curious to know. I would just be curious if Benny Johnson ends up posting or publishing that note or letter or whatever the hell he ended up getting. I might go off on a limb and say no, but I mean, he's a pretty transparent guy, so it wouldn't really exactly surprise me if he does. So, but anyway, that's good to hear that his family's safe, and I only wish him the best. I don't actually watch him. I don't really take in his content, but I'm very well aware of who he is. I've posted or I've talked about him on this show at least a couple of times, certain instances. So he's definitely a pretty powerful influencer, at least on the conservative side he is. All right, but anyway, I'll go ahead and move to the next thing. María Corina Machado. She's the one that won the Nobel Peace Prize today, not Donald Trump. President Trump did not win. That is of no surprise to anybody whatsoever. But anyway, she says, this recognition of the struggle of all Venezuelans is a boost to conclude our task to conquer freedom. We are on the threshold of victory, and today, more than ever, we count on President Trump, the people of the United States, the people of Latin America, and the democratic nations of the world as our principal allies to achieve freedom and democracy. I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. I thought that was quite noble, no pun intended, for her to do so. That was very nice of her to give that shout out to President Trump, probably because the entire world was just shouting that he deserves it above anyone else. So I don't know. I honestly not familiar with who this woman is. Of course, she's Venezuelan. I'm sure she's been very influential in trying to get peace and capitalism or what, like anti-socialism, whatever the hell that they're trying to push back into Venezuela. I'm sure she's been a very loud voice for them. And I'm honestly not too familiar with the Nobel Peace Prize. I know what it is. So I don't know if maybe because President Trump is the president of the United States and he's got, global influence and power, and maybe they don't want to give it to somebody who's like on such a high level. They'd rather favor someone who's not quite well known. But on the other hand, they gave it to Barack freaking Obama back in 2009. So that basically throws my argument right out the fucking window. So anyway, I thought that was, that was very nice of her to do that. And she also thanked you and me, the people of the United States. I thought that was pretty cool. She didn't have to do that, but she did. So very noble of her. All right, moving on to Senator Katie Boyd Britt. Absolutely insane article by CNN where they say Israel started the war. Not Hamas, not Palestine, not Gaza Strip. No, Israel started the war. Really? So tell that to the people of Israel who just over 2 years ago on October 7th were murdered, raped, and kidnapped after Hamas invaded. I think the number is like, what, over 1,200 people. This is why people don't trust legacy media. Shame on CNN. Yeah, dude, nobody watches CNN. I think like the key demographic for primetime, like what's it at now? Like 78,000 people watch it. It's like an absolute abysmal, hilarious number. And the numbers actually weren't that bad until they pulled all of them from the airports around the country, and then their numbers really went to shit. So anyway, this is the image that she had posted. It says in the article at the top, it's been 2 years since Israel launched its war in Gaza, and life in the enclave has never been harder. Of course, we don't get any more context beyond that. Maybe they just poorly worded it. Maybe they... I don't think they did, man. This is CNN, for crying out loud. Of course they did that intentionally. So anyway, we'll move on to the next thing. The Department of State probably should have had those switched around, because this one, it's from the Jerusalem Post. He's bringing them home. President Trump. Perhaps it is early yet to say in the aftermath of the war, for we are actually living under a ceasefire in a war which has not yet ended. Prime Minister, oh man, that's hard to read. Let me see if I can read it. Is it Golda Meir, I think? November 13th, 1973. That's the quote they took the bottom quote from at the bottom of the image. But yeah, that's from the Jerusalem Post from today, Friday, October 10th of 2025. And this is from Trisha McLaughlin. There were 22 shootings and 4 murders in Chicago just last weekend, and she's replying to Governor J.B. Pritzker, who did this. He said, reporting live from Chicago, there's no hellscape I'd rather be in. And he is on, I think this is on Jimmy Kimmel. Let's give this a play.
A very special report
Jimmy Kimmel.
J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois. This is J.B. Pritzker reporting from war-torn Chicago. As you can see, there's utter mayhem and chaos on the ground. It's quite disturbing. The Milwaukee Brewers have come in to attack our Chicago Cubs. We've seen people being forced to eat hot dogs with ketchup on them. And our deep dish pizza, well, has gone shallow. So it's a challenge to survive here in the city of Chicago.
Their comedy is so fucking cringe,
there's
man.
no hellscape that I'd rather be in. Well, thank you, Governor. And please know that you and the...
Remember when the late night shows used to be funny? When they actually used to be funny? Yeah, I don't remember either. Anyway, fuck off, Jimmy Kimmel. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Homeland Security. Antifa terrorists are threatening the families of our law enforcement. We will hunt these sickos down and put them behind bars. In Texas, the spouse of an ICE officer received a voicemail filled with violent threats. If you don't believe that radical anarchists want ICE law enforcement dead, listen to this. Oh, don't mind if we do. We're going to listen to this.
I'm just calling to say, assuming you're married to and with a last name like that, I don't know how you let your husband work for ICE and you sleep at night. You, your family. I hope your kids get deported by accident. How do you sleep? You. Did you hear what happened to the Nazis after World War II? Because that's what's going to happen to your family.
Well, we tried to listen to it with all those beeps happening. It was kind of hard to make out what the beep she was saying. So, yeah, a bunch of raving lunatics. This is why ICE keep their faces covered, because they get fucking doxxed by the left, because that's what the left does. When somebody says something that they don't like, and that person that they don't like gets a lot of attention, then they come after them with a fucking vengeance. They get their bank accounts canceled. They reach out to their landlords to try to get them thrown out of the place they live in. They call their workplace to get them fired. That's the tactics of the left. That's what they've been doing for probably well over a decade, but most notably over the last decade at least. All right, from Homeland Security, dear Antifa, we're taking our country back. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Take a watch. Oh no, I can't do that because it's going to copyright it and ban my video in other countries. That's not going to be good, but here, at least we'll show the footage. I mean, this is actual footage of what the fuck they've been dealing with. That's in Chicago. That's when they dropped over that apartment building where Trinidad Arago was held up. They arrested like 100 of them in that building. A whole bunch of them. They did, man. They literally like rappelled down from the helicopter. There's a word for it. I don't know what the word is, but yeah, so that happened. The deportations shall continue. Yeah, we got a few years left to go. Got to vote for J.D. Vance in 2028, and then we'll get 4 more years of this fun. All right, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Portland, heads up. Blocking entries, exits, or roadways is not peaceful protest. It's obstruction, and you will be arrested. I've been saying that every day on this show for at least a couple of weeks, that if they block the entrance or if they block an ICE vehicle, that is obstruction. You can receive up to 8 years in federal prison if you're arrested for doing so. And maybe, just maybe, one of these days, ICE might actually start arresting all of these people doing it, because there's a lot of them doing it, and every time that I watch anything from them, when they're arresting people, they only seem to be arresting people that are throwing stuff at them or assaulting them, but not sure if there's going to be music. Okay, no, here we go.
Stay out of the area of the driveway to allow for vehicular traffic. Remain on the sidewalk or across the street. Anyone, to include the press, trespassing on federal property is subject to arrest.
Listen to them. They're out there fucking partying. Woo, yeah, party time, man. Yeah, let's go fight some cops. All right. You know, that it's just kind of annoying whenever, who is this again? Homeland Security. It's annoying when government entities post on X and then they play music that's either it's mainstream music or at the very least it's copyrighted music. You should be playing something that's like no copyright. There's plenty of that stuff over on YouTube. You'd think that the government would be doing that because... I mean, are our federal tax dollars, are we paying these musicians for our government to be able to play their music on these videos? Because I would absolutely cringe to imagine the amount of money that the government's paying them to be able to use their music in just these random freaking videos. So anyway, this comes from Senator Dick Durbin. He's the Senate minority, or the Democratic whip of the Senate. And he's also on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Anyway, he says, "We were just denied entrance to the Broadview ICE facility in Illinois. What is the Trump administration hiding?" Well, it's not what they're hiding. It's because it's typically unsafe when members of Congress just show up because they got to secure the building, not only on the outside, but on the inside as well. But yeah, of course, they showed up today because they knew they weren't going to be allowed in, because that's just not what happens. Members of Congress are required to be allowed into the facility, but they have to give up to 72 hours notice. Or I think it's a minimum of 72 hours notice, so everything can be properly secure. But of course, the Democrats are like, well, that just gives them time to hide all the evil stuff they're doing. They collapse all the cages, and then they bring out actual beds and cots because they make everybody sleep on concrete and all this bullshit. But,
the stuff that he's doing is against the law and has been ruled so in federal courts.
And Senator Durbin, you said you would work with any administration to stop the crime. The president has said that he's willing to work with you. Why not take him up on his offer?
The very point made by Senator Duckworth. When we look at his budget, he ends up cutting the very programs that our police have asked for and what they need.
But y'all are defund the police.
Time recruiting new policemen. They're offering $50,000 incentives for those who sign up for.
Dude, I don't know if your base is really going to like that. You using that language, talking about funding police and hiring more police. I don't think that your radical leftist base, you know, the same base that you shut the government down to please, I don't think they're really going to like what you're saying there, dude.
What about our local policemen? We need more on the streets and more doing the professional work there. Let's put the federal resources in with the state and local resources and do it together in a cooperative fashion, not force it down our throats of sending in troops.
Yeah, so when you fund all of this law enforcement, then you could just tell them to stand the fuck down and don't do anything. Yeah, we're going to hire, you know, hundreds or even thousands of more officers to do what? You tell them to stand down at every freaking opportunity. That's not going to solve anything.
Texas.
What it's going to do is waste money.
No, I don't.
No, not at all. The $800 million that was appropriated was done through in a bipartisan way that he has now diverted away from what it was intended to do, which is to help local law enforcement.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice if local law enforcement were to help the federal government, but they're not doing that. So why the hell give them money if they're not going to help them either way? All right, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they, quote, they know when ICE shows up in their communities, it's going to be a bad day for gang members. ICE deputy on arresting a Latin Kings gang member who put a bounty on a U.S. Border Patrol chief.
Juan Espinoza Martinez, 37 years old, of Chicago. Apparently, with the Latin Kings gang, he was accused of offering a bounty to kill Border Patrol commander, $2,000 for info on him, and $10,000 if you take him down.
That is a very interesting outfit.
This guy who offered that bounty
looks
is
like
now
a
in
wool
custody.
tie.
Is he the only one that's doing this kind of thing, or is this becoming more systemic?
We're seeing this more and more nationwide as President Trump and Secretary Noem and the men and women of ICE, Border Patrol, and our other federal partners to continue to go after these gang members, murderers, and rapists. They know that when ICE shows up in their communities, it's going to be a bad day for gang members. And we will continue to go after these people. This is another prime example of somebody who put a hit out on our officers while they're out trying to do their job. The men and women of ICE care about our communities, care about keeping people safe, and the gang members don't want us there, and we'll continue to go after them when they want to wreak havoc on the American people.
All right, man. Regardless of what she looks like, at least they're getting the job done. That's all I care about at the end of the day. Get rid of all these criminal assholes. From Homeland Security, want to know how corrupt sanctuary New York City is? They handed out a commercial driver's license to an illegal alien, and they actually issued it to no name given. Look at this shit. No name given on his commercial driver's license. You can't make this shit up. Our brave ICE-Gov officers are working to prevent this kind of threat to public safety. Just one more look at it. Absolutely insanity in the state of New York. You don't even have to give them a name, and then they'll give you a CDL. Also, Homeland Security, at Newsweek, this is fake news. Robert Matuz Podskarby is a criminally illegal alien from Poland with an outstanding arrest warrant for weapon and drug charges. In the U.S., he was also charged with driving under the influence. Stop spreading anti-ICE propaganda for criminals. And the headline from Newsweek, green card holder detained by ICE before attending a wedding. Green card holder. Apparently that was up and down, fake ass news. Maybe he had a green card like 20 years ago and it probably expired or some shit. So yeah, it doesn't look like they have the article, but that's all right. Got a lot of stuff to get through. From the House Foreign Affairs Committee majority, Russia stole Ukrainian children, but 8 of them are finally home thanks to U.S. pressure and extensive outreach efforts by the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump. But the work isn't over. Thousands more remain, and Russia must be held accountable for every abduction. It's time for every child to be returned home. So this is the short version of it, but I've got, from the Office of the First Lady, announcement from First Lady Melania Trump. So I figured we'd give this one a watch. Plus, the quality looks better anyway. So we'll give this a watch.
Good morning. A child's soul knows no borders, no flags.
She's so soft-spoken.
We must foster a future for our children, which is rich with potential, security, and complete with free will. A world where dreams will be realized rather than faded by war. Much has unfolded since President Putin received my letter last August. He responded in writing, signaling a willingness to engage with me directly and outlining details regarding the Ukrainian children residing in Russia. And since then, President Putin and I have had an open channel of communication regarding the welfare of these children. For the past 3 months, both sides have participated in several back-channel meetings and calls, all in good faith. We have agreed to cooperate with each other for the benefit of all people involved in this war. My representative has been working directly with President Putin's team to ensure the safe reunification of children with their families between Russia and Ukraine. In fact, 8 children have been rejoined with their families during the past 24 hours.
Nice, just last day.
Each child has lived in turmoil because of the war in Ukraine. 3 were separated from their parents and displaced to the Russian Federation because of frontline fighting. The other 5 were separated from family members across borders because of the conflict, including 1 young girl who has now been reunited from Ukraine to Russia. I have learned a lot about this matter during the past 3 months. Russia has demonstrated a willingness to disclose objective and detailed information reflective for the current situation. The Russian Federation provided biographies and photographs of each child involved in this week's reunification, along with an overview of the social, medical, and psychological services afforded to the Ukrainian children. Further, I was provided a detailed report which verified the identities and circumstances of these 8 individuals. The US government confirmed the facts contained within this document are accurate. It is important to note the original verification report was jointly prepared by the Commissioner of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine for Human Rights and Office of the Russian Presidential Commissioner for Children's Rights. As First Lady, this is an important initiative for me. It is built on shared purpose and lasting impact. My ongoing mission is twofold: to prioritize, to optimize a transparent, free-flow exchange of health-related information surrounding all children who have fell victim to this war, and to facilitate the regular reunification of children with their families until each individual returns home. Additionally, I have raised concerns regarding those who were minors at the time they were displaced by the war, but have since reached adulthood and currently reside in Russia. Given the dangers of traversing this war-torn region, their safe return requires coordinated assistance. Accordingly, Russia has agreed to rejoin the individuals who have turned 18 within a short period of time. Again, this remains an ongoing effort. Plans are already underway to reunify more children in the immediate future. I hope peace will come soon. It can begin with our children. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, it's not good, man. When the kids get caught up in the middle of it, definitely not good. But it's just one of those things you definitely don't hear about when conflict is fully erupted and everything, that happens. It just, children, they just tend to get just lost in all the noise, in the fog of war. So, yeah, I mean, that's good. She's making progress on that. I didn't even know that she was even working on that, so that's cool. All right, so Speaker Mike Johnson, House Republicans are in our districts helping families through this crisis that Democrats created. Health services halted, nutrition aid for moms and infants are cut off, FEMA unable to issue flood insurance during hurricane season, and now Democrats are reportedly waiting until after their radical Hate America rally on October 18th to reopen the government. It's disgraceful. Look, I kind of welcome this whole big rally happening in Washington, D.C. because the government shut down. I think all eyes are going to be on it because it's being hosted by the Democrats, and we're just going to have to see what kind of mayhem that they're going to bring with them, because we all know how they tend to act whenever they protest in mass. So we'll just have to see what happens. Maybe CNN, they're going to have another one of those hilarious segments where it's a mostly peaceful protest with, a hellscape fire happening right behind them. Anyway,
real harm to real people, and we're hearing it from our constituents.
Oh my God! I'm sorry.
Now are in their districts,
Melania Trump, man,
trying to help people.
You're way too soft-spoken.
That's being created by the Democrats.
I forgot to adjust my volume. I apologize.
Services. It's nutrition services for young mothers and infant children. It's all manner of services that are provided. FEMA. They can't write flood insurance policies in the middle of a hurricane season because of this nonsense, and we're so angry about it. I mean, I'm a very patient guy. But I have had it with these people. They're playing games with real people's lives. The theory we have...
Dude, you better keep your patience, because they are going to drag this on for months unless you fucking cave. And you better not cave. You better not cave, dude.
Right now, they have a Hate America rally that's scheduled.
I don't want my money to go to
October 18th
illegals
on the National Mall. It's all the pro-Hamas wing and the Antifa people. They're all coming out.
Yeah, they're called
Some
the
of
Squad.
the House Democrats are selling T-shirts for the event, and it's being told to us that they won't be able to reopen the government until after that rally because they can't face their rabid base. I mean, this is serious business, hurting real people.
I think they're going to keep it closed.
I'm beyond words. I can't believe
that's what I'm
doing
feeling.
this.
I got that. Definitely have that vibe that they're going to keep it closed for a prolonged period of time. Because all they're doing is just, no, the Republicans, they control Congress. They're the ones that are doing it. I mean, we don't even control Congress. How could we be doing it? Anyway, Senate Republicans, Bernie Sanders, you reopen the government and we lose our leverage. Uh-oh. They would rather have leverage than help working families put food on their tables. This is on CNN.
They have had months to negotiate. And you reopen the government and we lose our leverage. And they say, we want this, we want that. No, there has to be an agreement right now. That's what this whole shutdown is about.
We lose our leverage, holding the government hostage so you can give illegal immigrants health care. How do you like that? Secretary Lori Chavez de Raymer, our federal firefighters are working without pay because of the Democrat shutdown. It's time for them to do the right thing and reopen the government. I think she's the Secretary of Labor, I think. Let's see if I got that right. Yeah, I got it right. All right, so let's take a watch.
Hi, this is Lori Chavez de Raymer, the Secretary of Labor. I am here at Fort Myer Fire Station to thank our federal firefighters for working during this shutdown. It's important to them to keep us safe. I'm asking Senator Schumer and these Senate Democrats to open up this government. Stop playing games with the American workforce.
All right, so I don't have a whole ton of stuff, so you don't have to freak out too much. I don't have a whole lot with the government shutdown because, frankly, I'm sick and tired of it at this point because that's all they're talking about, and a lot of the social media resources that represent different departments across the government, they're not posting anything because they're shut down. And all of these social media people, they're non-essential, so they're not employed currently. So there's a lot of stuff out there that's not happening. There's a lot of departments that they're doing stuff still, but I don't really have any way of looking at it, at least not beyond where I'm at now. Anyway, this is Rapid Response 47, currently playing at every public airport in America. So this is playing at all the airports in America right now.
Hi, I'm Christine Ohm, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. It is TSA's top priority to make sure that you have the most pleasant and efficient airport experience as possible while we keep you safe. However, Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government. And because of this,
yeah, they do.
Many of our operations are impacted, and most of our TSA employees are working without pay. We will continue to do all that we can to avoid delays that will impact your travel. And our hope is that Democrats will soon recognize the importance of opening the government.
All right. Yeah. And it's just like, I believe it's the Social Security Administration. If you call them, you get a voicemail that says that the radical leftist Democrats have shut down the federal government. That's why you're hearing this message. All right. Steve Scalise, the facts don't lie. Republicans voted 8 times to keep the government open. Democrats said no again and again. Now families and troops are paying the price.
Just go look at the votes. There have been actual votes in the House and the Senate 8 different times now between the two chambers to open the government down.
8 votes.
And Republicans have said, yes, let's keep the government open while we negotiate.
I think they should carry that political messaging. They've closed the government again and again and again and again and repeat, 8 times, 9 times, 10 times. Just keep it going.
Our differences, and Democrats continue to say no so they can appease their radical base. And so as Chuck Schumer denies pay to millions of federal workers, we know roughly at least 1 in 3 of every service member in America lives paycheck to paycheck. Now, should they get solace in knowing that they're risking their lives, some of them overseas, while their families are here, and on Monday, when we get to the date where paychecks would be cut, the government will still be shut down, and they won't even be getting a paycheck on the 15th. Rent will still be due. Mortgages will still be due. Car notes will still be due for those service members risking their life. Should they take solace in knowing that at least it's a good day for Chuck Schumer? At least Chuck Schumer feels like the shutdown's working good for Schumer.
Well, and it's all because of the Affordable Care Act. They want to keep dumping money into it to keep it artificially lower than what it really is because of the COVID era, because they wanted to make everything cheaper for people who consume resources from the government. And the Democrats have owned this since day one. They're the ones that rolled out Obamacare and completely fucked up our insurance industry, our healthcare insurance industry. And they just want to keep that ball rolling. They just want to keep taking your money and giving it to other people to try to keep their healthcare costs low. Meanwhile, most of us have to pay our own private insurance, and we're not getting really any breaks out of it at all. And it's fucking bullshit, man.
That's not going to give solace.
Not to
any
mention
of
the
those
illegal
families.
immigrants.
Instead, it actually
They get free healthcare while
increases
we
the
have to pay for
anger
ours.
of the families all across America who are seeing the real cost of this shutdown. They know who's voting to shut the government down, but now they're feeling direct pain. And the only thing they hear from Democrat leaders that keep voting no is, oh, it's a good day for us because the far left is patting us on the back. Do they really need a participation trophy to feel good about themselves while they inflict pain on millions of people? It's disgraceful.
Yeah, and I think they should be up here every single day, basically saying the same thing over and over. I know it gets old, it gets really repetitive, but they've just got to keep that message going day in and day out because Democrats, they're all over the mainstream news, and they're talking about how the Republicans shut down the government. We didn't do it. From Speaker Mike Johnson, Democrats have now voted 8 times to block pay for our troops and federal workers. Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats think every day of this shutdown gets better for them, even as it hurts hardworking Americans. Once again, Democrats are putting Americans last. Votes to pay troops and federal workers. And they've got all the dates where the votes came in. Republicans voted yes, Democrats voted no. And we got this from Hakeem Jeffries. It's day 10 of the Trump shut. Oh, it's Trump shut down. Oh, I didn't realize that Trump shut it down unilaterally. Oh, it's all Trump's fault now. Yeah, because he's a Democrat. Everything's Trump's fault. Evil orange man. The government is closed because Republicans don't want to provide health care to working class Americans. Look, you can look at it that way. You can look at it any way, but y'all voted to close down the government, not the Republicans. Extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits now. Yeah, who started the Affordable Care Act? Barack Obama, the Democrats. They're the ones that caused our insurance industry to spiral completely out of control. And now their big solution is that we're going to hold the government hostage until we get more of your money to pay for our fuck up. It's ridiculous.
Well, our
MSNBC
view has been clear over the last several weeks. We were never going to vote for a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. We made that clear in early September, mid-September, late September, and we continue to make that clear in October for several reasons. But the Affordable Care Act tax credits is a matter that needs to be dealt with right now. Open enrollment starts on November 1st. Tens of millions of people are receiving notices right now indicating that their premiums are about to go up by thousands of dollars per year.
Well, I would have to ask, why are they going up by thousands of dollars per year? What is causing them to go up thousands of dollars? It's not just the tax credits expiring. That's not the real reason. The tax credits are there to keep their insurance policies relatively cheap, which still isn't cheap. It's still extremely expensive. But when you get rid of those tax credits, which they were put into place during COVID to try to alleviate, some people's hardships during COVID, why is it going up so much in the first place? What did you, the Democrats, and during the Obama era, what did they do to make it skyrocket to the point where it's at right now? Why is it so expensive, Democrats? You all were the ones who rolled this thing out to begin with, but they don't have any answers for that. I'm not hearing any answers from the Republicans either as to why the healthcare is as expensive as it is right now anyway. I think the reason is probably because they just keep cutting blank checks to the insurance industry and to hospitals, medical facilities, doctors, where they could just charge whatever the hell they want. Government's just going to pay for it, so who gives a shit?
This has to be dealt with the fierce urgency of now. And we cannot rely on a wing and a prayer from Republicans or a blank check promise, given that this group of people has tried to gut the health care of...
Dude, you are offering a blank check promise. That's what this is. That's exactly what it is. You want to pass hundreds of billions of dollars worth of spending. A lot of it, again, is going to illegal immigrants. A lot of it's going to Americans who consume government resources. And that's what you're doing. You're essentially writing blank checks to medical providers who are charging way more money than they should be charging for medical goods and services.
The American people, and has targeted the Affordable Care Act literally for the last 15 years. We need to get this done, and we need to get this done now.
Yeah, it's just really funny how just the Democrats, they always talk about, like, we need this and we need that and we need to do this. And they don't show any hard evidence on anything. They don't even get to the root of the problem. They don't give a shit about the root of the problem because they are the root of the problem. Anyway, Rapid Response 47. The line at this food bank is filled with military families who have no idea when they'll get their next paycheck, all because of Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. Democrats should be ashamed of themselves, but that would require them to have shame in the first place. Pathetic cowards.
As I take a step aside here, there is quite a bit of military members and their families in line because of this government shutdown. We're in day 9 of it, and they're here for a
like
food
communism,
pantry. There's
dude.
all sorts
Fucking
of food
crazy.
that is available.
Wait
and
in
I
bread
spoke
lines.
with some military member spouses, and I spoke with some department heads here at the ASYMCA on why this is so important. What's the difference in the amount of people that you've seen from today to previously?
So when we first started coming, there definitely wasn't this amount of people. It was a lot, but it wasn't this amount to where it wrapped around the building. But lately it has been a lot. Like we were here last week and we were in line for like 2 hours.
In a normal week, we usually run out of food about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Last week, we ran out of food about 10:30.
As I take a step aside.
All right. And you also have to consider that the Christmas season's coming up. That's a pretty short ways away. And that's probably another reason why they're showing up to these food banks, because they've got to pinch pennies like crazy, man. Rent's due, the mortgage is due, car payments are due, the utilities, and plus there's the Christmas season that's coming up too. So I really feel for them, and it's absolutely just complete bullshit that they're doing this, the Democrats. Last night, the Senate passed a defense bill that includes a pay raise for American troops, but Democrats are blocking their paychecks until illegal aliens get free health care. And this is from U.S. Department of Transportation. Rapid response. Would you like to end the shutdown? Call Senator Chuck Schumer at 202-224-6542. This is on CNN.
Let me ask you a question from my daughter, who is away at college and is going to get on a plane and come visit her parents soon. What does she need to do to prepare for this? I mean, how do you predict if you're a flyer out there? How do you predict if your flight is going to be delayed because of what's going on here?
You really can't.
Well, I think the answer to that is give her Chuck Schumer's number and say, Chuck, when are you going to open up the government?
Got him. Pick out that mic. Oh, that was great. All right. Congressman Russell Fry. Listen to this. Planes have to crash before Democrats lift a finger. Got it. Their priorities couldn't be clearer. Nothing says leadership like waiting for disaster. This is on CNN Politics. Another senior Democrat aide said as long as public perception is in their favor, the party will not concede short of planes falling out of the sky. Absolutely incredible. Senate Democrats false. Or no, Senate Democrats. I got Democrats on the mind. Senate Republicans false. The bill that Senator Warnock is referring to cuts $50 billion from rural hospitals and gives free healthcare to illegal aliens. The government is closed because Democrats have rejected a clean bipartisan funding bill 7 times. And he's responding to Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock. Here's the simple truth that Republicans in D.C. don't want you to know. The government is shut down because they're choosing to double your health care premiums. Yeah, like they're like twirling their mustaches like, yeah, we're really going to get the American people this time. We're double hell. Let's fucking triple it. There's a bill that would end the shutdown today and fund health care. But Washington Republicans keep voting no. Yeah, because we don't want it to go to illegal immigrants. And a lot of the people who are getting the health care, a lot of them are able-bodied. And a lot of them are fraudulently being put on these health care programs. And that's part of the reason why they cut a lot of funding to Medicaid, because it's no longer needed. Because a lot of able-bodied people were getting it and they did not deserve it. Anyway, U.S. Department of Transportation, thank you, TGI Fridays, for showing our air traffic controllers and TSA workers some love during the shutdown. Well, what's TGI Fridays doing? Nothing is more American than hitting up TGI Fridays at the airport. Check this out. From TGI Fridays, community means showing up for each other, especially now. The TSA and air traffic control workers, thank you for keeping the skies safe. Your meal is on us. Let's watch this. Oh no, there's no sound. TGI Fridays, what? That's okay. They probably play some copyright shit anyway. So it says, to our heroes at the airport, thank you, TSA and air traffic control workers. You eat free. To the ones keeping us flying, this one's on us. TSA and air traffic control workers enjoy a free meal at Fridays as our way of saying thanks. Choose from one of the items below. And they've got the cheeseburger with fries. They got crispy chicken fingers with fries. Crispy or grilled chicken sandwich with fries. chicken Caesar salad. That'd be a good one. And is that it? Yeah, chicken Caesar salad. So yeah, you get 4 options to choose from. You get a free meal. Well, that's pretty cool. That's very nice of them. They didn't have to do that, but they did. And that's very, very nice. So this is from Senator Tim Scott. South Carolina is integral to our nation's defense and military readiness. I'm pleased the Senate just passed my provisions in the NDAA that equip our service members with the resources, training, and support necessary to execute their duties with excellence. And Leader John Thune, I promised to prioritize the NDAA, and I'm glad the Senate delivered. While I'm proud our bill authorizes a much-deserved pay raise for our troops, I'm disappointed they won't see it, or any paycheck for that matter, until Democrats end the Schumer shutdown. They're holding our troops and their families hostage for political demands. All right, so I'm moving past the government shutdown and moving toward the big announcement from AstraZeneca from the president today. AstraZeneca, the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in the UK, is committing to offer Americans major discounts on their vast catalog of prescription drugs in a most favored nation pricing structure. Let's hear this.
AstraZeneca, the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in the United Kingdom, is committing to offer Americans major discounts on their vast catalog of prescription drugs, one of the great companies, by the way, and a most favored nation's pricing clause. So most favored nation is you're going to pay whatever the lowest price anywhere in the world is. That's what you're going to be paying.
All right. So I got some more. Another one from the president. It's going to be another quote. He's going to say it, so I'm just going to play it out. Also, AstraZeneca.
Today, AstraZeneca is committing to offer all of their prescription medications to Medicaid at most favored nations prices. In other words, the lowest price anywhere in the world. That's what we get. A move that will save American taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars each year. And I tell the story, Glenn, that in my first term, I had the honor of being the first president in 28 years to lower drug prices during the course of the year. And we actually did. And I was so proud of myself. We called a news conference. I announced it. It was 1/8 of 1%. 1/8 of 1%.
And you know what? They're calling it Trump shutdown. And he's got AstraZeneca, he's got Pfizer, that together combined, they're investing $100 billion into the country so they can manufacture research and development pharmaceuticals in our country. And Trump created that website, trumprx.gov, where you can go and you can get really, really cheap prescriptions. I mean, you can't get every single prescription under the sun, but they've offered a whole bunch of different prescriptions you can get for a rock bottom price. So he's fixing the healthcare situation, not completely, but a little bit at least. But they won't even give him that. They won't even give him the credit for this.
Now
even though this directly affects the healthcare industry.
100%, 400%, 600%, 1,000% in some cases. But for 1/8 of a cent, Bobby, think of that. I was so proud because for 28 years, nobody had done it. And now it's... I think back to that. I said I shouldn't have had
keeps rocketing out of control.
News conference, but it is true. I was the only one that did it, but it was not very much. And now we're going to get, in some cases, 1,000% reduction. This is going to have a huge impact on everything from Social Security to Medicare to Medicaid. Anything where they're buying any prescription drugs, it's going to have an incredible impact. It's going to lower itself greatly.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's really good. See, Trump, he's getting it done, man. You can get it done with other means besides just cutting blank checks. So we got one more here.
AstraZeneca will also list many of their most popular drugs online at trumprx.gov. TrumpRx. I don't know why they put the name Trump. I did not tell them to do it, but I'm honored to let them do it. That's true, actually.
Right.
That heavily reduced most favored nation's cost. Americans can expect discounts, and as I said, it could be in many cases way over 100%. And as an example, one particular drug that's hot, very hot, 654% on inhalers, COPD and asthma, as well as certain diabetics medications. They're going to be averaging about 654% reduction in price. You believe that one?
All right. Yeah, Trump, he's rocking the striped tie. You don't really see Trump wearing a striped tie. All right, and this is the last one. This is the investment, $50 billion.
Furthermore, AstraZeneca will invest $50 billion in the United States over the next 5 years for research and development of new drugs and to onshore manufacturing facilities across the country, like the new plant that broke ground yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia, where the governor attended. They had a tremendous group of people attending. It's going to have 3,600 jobs just to begin with.
Hell yeah.
And that's going to be a fantastic plant. I saw a picture. It's going to be the best, right? You can't get any better. This is a tremendous victory for Virginia and for American patients and for everything, for the country. It's an amazing company to have coming over to the United States in such a big way.
Yeah, it's fantastic news. I mean, most of us are not too crazy about Big Pharma, but that's still good news that they're going to roll out manufacturing inside the United States, because most people, or at least a sizable portion of the population, they need prescription drugs. So that's good. It's good they're doing that. And yeah, over the next 5 years, $50 billion, but both of those companies combined, Pfizer and AstraZeneca, $100 billion. So that's good news all around. Plus more jobs. That's good. Could always use more jobs. Well, and plus I don't know why they haven't always set up manufacturing here, especially research and development, because I would assume that the American healthcare system probably has some of the, well, at least we used to have some of the best research and development on the planet. Anyway, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, President Javier Milei is trying to break 100 years of bad cycles in Argentina. He is a great ally of the United States, and we look forward to his Oval Office visit next week. We do not want another failed or China-led state in Latin America. Stabilizing Argentina is America first.
Argentina is a beacon in Latin America. President Milei has done the right thing. He is trying to break 100 years of a bad cycle in Argentina. He is also a great ally for the U.S. He'll be coming to the Oval Office next Tuesday, and he is committed to getting China out of Argentina. They're all over the place in Latin America.
News. Yeah, they are.
When people say to me, how is this not America
and Central
first?
America,
I'll tell you
and Mexico.
Not. Do you want to be shooting at more gunboats like in Venezuela? We do not want a failed state.
Yeah, and the same with Africa. China's all over Africa. I mean, they're encroaching all over the world. I mean, like, if you look at that map of the land that China owns inside the United States, it's like almost exclusively in the immediate vicinity around military bases. Kind of makes you wonder. All right, JD Vance, it is weird to me that these people don't see the irony of honoring marginalized communities by making a beautiful historical building really ugly. And this is regarding the Church of England. They decided this week to cover the interior of the oldest cathedral in England in graffiti in order to represent the voices of marginalized communities. The very Reverend David Monteith, Dean of Canterbury, said, quote, "There is a rawness which is magnified by the graffiti style, which is disruptive. It is unfiltered and not sanitized," end quote. And another quote, this exhibition intentionally builds bridges between cultures, styles, and genres and allows us to receive the gifts of younger people who have much to say, end quote. It's actually stunning how much the elite of Britain hate their own culture and civilization. You couldn't even invent this as satire. They are literally scrawling graffiti on the walls of ancient cathedrals. Everything beautiful is just torn down and destroyed. So we got pictures. So that's the outside of the cathedral. And that's what they did. I mean, I don't think that it doesn't look like spray paint graffiti to me. It looks like stickers. But still, fucking ridiculous. This is absolutely stupid. I mean, you can't even make this shit up. I don't know who the hell thought that would be a good idea, but that's pretty stupid. I mean, like what? So like everybody in marginalized communities, the only way they could communicate is through graffiti. That everybody in black and brown communities, like that graffiti, they just all do that. They just write in graffiti. That's how you can get through to them. They don't understand what you're saying unless you show it to them in graffiti, apparently. I mean, yeah, because that's not racist at all. All right. Homeland Security, another win for America. The president signed a historic deal with our partner nation, Finland, and will deliver 4 new Arctic security cutters to the U.S. Coast Guard fleet to protect America's sovereignty and secure our Arctic interests. And I saw that today. They posted that around 6 hours ago. So on yesterday's episode, President Trump met with the Finnish prime minister where they talked about that, and Homeland Security is echoing the deal that we had made with Finland. And Department of War, rapid response. The Secretary of War and Graham Allen took a moment to honor the 1-month anniversary of Charlie Kirk's death. Quote, it still doesn't feel real, quote.
We're at 1 month.
It really doesn't, man.
Since the assassination of our friend Charlie Kirk. I want to get 2 thoughts from you closing out. 1, your thoughts 1 month out from that. And 2, you get a lot of criticism for bringing your faith back into this role, which I think is insanity. Just talk to us a little bit, real quick.
It's ridiculous, man.
Your thoughts about Charlie 1 month since, and then why do you
living in a
feel
Judeo-Christian country
faith back into this position?
Well, like you, sometimes it still doesn't feel real, right? You see videos and things that are still played, and you go, oh man, can't. But isn't Charlie the perfect example of someone who brought his faith into the public square and did it boldly, unapologetically, in a way that met people where they're at? It wasn't preachy. It was simply saying, you want to really be set free? Gospel sets you free, not a policy from the government. And so our job here is to, ensure that we are ready to deter and, if necessary, win our nation's wars. We know that. But a huge part of readiness is spiritual readiness as well. This is a department, this is a job that has long appealed to heaven. On bended knee, that guy right there said a few prayers before he set out to try to establish a new nation. We were founded with that understanding that our rights come from a creator. And so not only should we hide it, we shouldn't be ashamed of it. We should speak boldly about it. We should speak openly about it. That's why we do a monthly Christian worship service. That's why, wherever we can, we invoke the name of God, we invoke the name of Jesus Christ, and we want that spoken and talked about inside our formations. We want our chaplains empowered. Because what we're doing here is, yes, in an earthly sense, incredibly consequential, but there's also a spiritual battlefield. And there's our own, eternity and our own souls. And I know, as I reckon with this job in this place, and you've been in here, the decisions we make on a daily basis, impossible to do it as a human being alone.
Right.
But knowing that I'm serving God, obedient to His word, it humbles everybody. This job humbles you no matter what.
Right.
But humbled to understand that He's got a plan, and God's out there, and it's not me. And if I pray and appeal to Him, hopefully His wisdom can be imparted on us on a daily basis to try to do right by this great American republic that we've been gifted. So Charlie set that example. He did it every single day. We miss him more every day, almost, when you see the void of his incredible talents. But may we live worthy of his martyrdom.
Yeah, definitely well said. Definitely lost a real American hero. And from the same conversation, Secretary of War on changing the name back to the War Department, and it gives a quote. He's going to say the quote.
I wrote about, in my book, The War on Warriors, I wrote a paragraph, hey, we should change the name back to the Department of War. But I don't think that's what spurred it for President Trump. He had it in his own mind. I don't know when it got implanted, but both of us, the minute he said it, I was like, oh, yeah, let's. Yeah, and then it was just a matter of how do you do it? What's the best way to make it happen?
Yeah.
And it felt like, now felt like the right time. Got some good lawyers that got us to yes. I think we'll get to the point where Capitol Hill codifies it officially and makes it what it should be, the War Department.
Should be.
It has the right ring to it. We're reviving the warrior ethos inside the War Department.
Right.
It also clarifies so much. I love what the name means as far as, hey, if you're going to go to war, it better be clear and decisive.
Right.
That's the way we want to look at it too. So all of it added up nicely. And so it was one of those moments where, the president mentioned it, and as he said, I jumped to it, and we're off to the race.
I love it.
Yeah, codifying it. Not sure if they're going to have to get 6 or 60 senator votes for it. So maybe it perhaps may not happen, I guess, until after the midterms, perhaps. I mean, if the Republicans are fortunate enough to get 6 more senators in there. Anyway, Secretary Kirk's right. U.S. lithium production is set to skyrocket thanks to President Trump. The recent Energy Lithium America's partnership strengthens domestic supply chains, reduces foreign dependence, and creates American jobs and wealth, all while ensuring responsible stewardship of taxpayer dollars. Definitely good, especially in the face of what the fuck China's doing, trying to close off the entire country from rare earth minerals. We got to be producing anything like lithium, energy, nuclear, whatever we can possibly do. We got to be doing it full steam ahead. And, of course, Democrats, they're doing anything they can to stop it, all in the name of climate change. All right, Secretary Kennedy. So I didn't get his remarks during the cabinet meeting yesterday, but he mentioned circumcisions with boys who were born and how that can have a correlation with autism. Well, the mainstream media, they left out like the main point of what he was saying was that babies are given Tylenol after they're being circumcised, which is believed could lead to a lot of autism cases. Well, mainstream media decided to leave out the Tylenol part and start, acting like that he's just some crazy crackpot who's talking about how circumcisions just directly cause autism. But no, that's not what he said at all. But anyway, so Secretary Kennedy, he corrects the record and he says, at yesterday's cabinet meeting, I said there are 2 studies that show children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism, and it's highly likely because they are given Tylenol. An August 2025 preprints.org review by Patel et al. Directly validates my point that the observed autism correlation in circumcised boys is best explained by acetaminophen exposure, not circumcision itself. Newsweek reflected my comments most accurately. USA Today partially reported what I said, but used misleading framing. New York Post distorted it completely with its headline, implying I said circumcision causes autism. So once again, mainstream media chooses to character assassinate me instead of educating Americans by digging into the science. The paper I was referring to identifies the 2015 Danish circumcision study as the most compelling standalone evidence that acetaminophen triggers autism in susceptible babies and children. It presents a mechanistic model showing that acetaminophen acts in combination with oxidative stress to cause neurodevelopmental injury. The study's authors call it evidence overwhelming and argue the precautionary principle demands avoiding acetaminophen during pregnancy and early infancy, precisely echoing my public warning. In short, the preprint provides a rigorous scientific framework that substantiates my interpretation. The risk stems from acetaminophen use in infants, not from circumcision itself. Because if they're not being circumcised, there's no reason to give them Tylenol. So anyway, he's got the source here, so I'll link it. I'll link it into the description. From Caroline Levitt, Trump administration officials are working tirelessly to stop the pipeline of child trafficking and track down more than 320,000 missing migrant kids. And if you don't know Caroline Levitt, she's the White House press secretary. This is from dailywire.com. And, I only got one article remaining. Trump administration officials are working tirelessly to stop the pipeline of child trafficking and track down more than 320,000 missing migrant kids. John Fabricatore, who returned to the federal government to lead the effort at the Department of Health and Human Services, told the Daily Wire that the Trump administration is determined to right the wrongs of the Biden administration, which often released children who crossed the border alone to sponsors in the United States who were vetted with a single phone call. When unaccompanied children cross the border, Border Patrol agents hand them off to HHS, who works to place them with a sponsor in the United States. Under the Biden administration, border agents saw a flood of more than 500,000 unaccompanied migrant children pouring over the border. Quote, we could never tell if they were able to take care of these children, and there wasn't DNA testing done to verify these children actually belonged to the people that were claiming to be a familial connection. Fabricatore, who previously served as the director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement Denver office, said there were many aunts and uncles, quote unquote aunts and uncles, that came forward, and we found out in multiple cases that these were wrong, and the kids were sent to very bad people. Kids were sent to drug dealers. They were sent to people who claimed to be a brother, and it wasn't a brother, and wound up raping the young girl, he said. Under the Biden administration, several federal whistleblowers exposed the lax vetting system that placed some migrant kids in the hands of traffickers, gang members, and sex offenders, and hundreds of thousands of them are still unaccounted for to this day. They still can't find them. Hundreds of thousands. Anyway, now the vetting process for sponsors has been strengthened tenfold, Fabricatore explained. The sponsor vetting went from just a simple phone call and a photo was sent over an email and nothing was ever verified, to now a very staunch and structured vetting process. The Trump administration requires sponsors and other adults living with them to submit their fingerprints to undergo background checks. Additionally, sponsors are required to submit proof of income to show they can support the child. Sponsors who claim they are related to the child will also undergo DNA testing. Homeland Security agents also meet with the sponsor, and HHS officials visit the home to ensure it's a safe place for the child. Many of the children in HHS contracted facilities after arriving under the Biden administration are aging out of care, meaning they're turning 18 and walking free before their immigration cases are completed, presenting a new challenge the Trump administration is tackling head-on, according to Fabricatory. The older teens oftentimes are sent to the United States by their parents to find work to send money home, which doesn't qualify as a valid asylum claim. Nope. Financial circumstances does not warrant asylum. It doesn't. But until their case is heard by an immigration judge, they can't be deported. So anyway, it goes on. Usually the Daily Wire, they usually have pretty extensive articles, but I'll link that if you want to read the rest of that. And I'll move on to the next story here from Secretary Sean Duffy. News flash. Roads are for safety, not political messages. Thank you, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, for following the U.S. Department of Transportation's rules. I encourage the rest of America's governors to do the same. And what happened is Texas governor calls for the removal of rainbow crosswalks, calling them a safety issue. Governor Greg Abbott directs Texas DOT to remove all political symbols from the streets. And I replied to this because the same thing happened here in the state of Florida. And they've got the article here if you want to read more on that. And yours truly says, my local city lost their appeal on the rainbow stuff on streets, and the local news asked the public what should be placed in its behalf. I said, blacktop the road for Black Lives Matter. Smooth roads, leftists get to virtue signal, it's a win-win. And I linked an article to that. I guess if you really want to read it, I'll link it. I didn't really plan on doing that, but St. Petersburg forced to remove rainbow road art from intersections after the state denied their appeal, because they filed an appeal after Governor DeSantis said, nope, get rid of all of them. And so they appealed it to the higher courts in our state, and they were denied. All right, so I will move on to the next topic at hand. The Department of Energy Office of Science. I thought this was hilarious. Listen to this. Interested in the request for proposals to lease Department of Energy land for building and powering AI data centers near the ORNL on the Oak Ridge Reservation? You can register for the virtual Oak Ridge Commercial AI and Energy Generation Infrastructure Program Industry Day on October 15th. I would have loved to see him turn that into an acronym. The ORCAIEGIPID on October 15th. Like, dude, you think our government's big enough yet? You think it might be just a little big? But all right, so anyway, I'll link that just in case. I don't know, maybe you're the 1 in a million people who just actually would benefit from this program or this industry day, and which is happening on October 15th. But chances are, if that is up your alley, I'm sure you already know all about it. But anyway, so the U.S. Navy, a powerful sight on the Delaware River in honor of the Navy's 250th birthday. The Navy and Marine Corps marked 250 years of service with a parade of ships in Philadelphia, where it all began. So there's only 3 images, but that's one of the images. And they've got one here, and they got one more with a Vietnam vet in the foreground facing toward the ship. So there you go. And from the State Department, travel, Kabul, Afghanistan, there are reports of explosions that happened on October 9th. The Taliban is investigating. That's okay. I guess they're investigating. Travel advisory remains at level 4. Do not travel due to civil unrest, crime, and terrorism. And I will link that just in case, if you're planning on a vacation to Afghanistan, because, there's some people crazy enough to do that, I guess. I know that a lot of modern ladies out there, they like to go travel to all these exotic places far off the beaten path because it's totally safe when you travel alone these days. All right, anyway, Chief Michael W. Banks, lowest number of illegal crossings since 1970. We have come a long way from seeing thousands of illegal crossings a day, but we will not stop until we have full operational control of the border. That means no one crosses undetected. If they do get across, they are processed and returned to their home country or a country that will accept them. So we'll
numbers from the southern border,
NBC
illegal
News.
Crossings plummeting to record lows during the second Trump administration, falling to the lowest level in 55 years. But across the border in Mexico, some asylum seekers now fearful, saying they have nowhere else to go. NBC's Julie.
Well, we don't give a shit. They shouldn't have gotten up there in the first place. Just because you're a quote-unquote victim of economic circumstances, it doesn't give you a gold pass to just travel freely into the United States. That ain't how it works. It doesn't work that way. But of course, It is NBC. They're gonna flip it and frame it in some sort of way to make it sound like it's just the worst thing ever to ever have happened in the history of the United States to build a wall because of these poor innocent victims of economic circumstances.
Leah Ainsley has the new reporting.
Tonight, new numbers showing the dramatic change at the border.
We've got the most controlled border we've ever had in the history and in my lifetime in the Border Patrol.
In Eagle Pass, Texas, during the Biden administration, more than 2,000 migrants crossed into the U.S. in a single day.
Yeah, and Americans don't like that.
But now, under President Trump's policies, officers encounter just 20 migrants a day here.
Americans do like that,
DHS
the vast majority.
touting the lowest number of illegal border crossings since 1970. And Border Patrol Chief Mike Banks tells us they'll expand the 1 mile of defensive buoys on the Rio Grande.
We've got about 500 miles identified across the entire Texas border where we're going to place these in the river.
Is this the new wall?
It's defense in depth.
We were here 2 years ago
because
where
the ball
migrants used to
spins, you
carry
can't climb
children
over
on
it.
their backs to get across this river. And
I mean, I don't know what would stop them from just swimming under it unless there's like netting or something that's underneath those buoys.
cut through this barbed wire to get to the United States. They would see hundreds, even thousands a day in this
so
very spot.
barbaric.
But today, it's silent.
North
Good.
and Del Rio, border residents telling
Vast
us
majority
they're
of Americans
thrilled
voted for that.
crossings are down.
We want our community back normal.
Border security a major factor in two majority Latino districts, Eagle Pass and Del Rio, voting red last November.
Yes, they did.
Business owner
I
Leo
remember that. I was
Martinez
just
is a
about to say that
Democrat
too,
who
but I
voted
wasn't
for
sure if those
Trump,
were the two counties.
saying his once 8-hour commute to his factories across the border now takes 20 minutes.
Now, if you look at the border, it's super quiet. So whatever the current administration done, it's working.
His daughter voted for Trump, too.
Do you think what happened here with the surge led more people to vote for Trump? Yes, 100%.
But
I'm
across
sure.
the border, President Trump's
I bet.
policy blocking asylum claims also having an impact. Johanna Romero, with her 6-month-old son, saying she's desperate, waiting in Mexico since December. Saying she's fleeing death threats from her baby's father. I was really afraid.
Oh my
It was a
God,
very
dude, that is
strong-
not a reason for asylum. That's why you go to the police. You go to the police. Or you have your family help you or something. I mean, that is not a reason. Look, if your country is war-torn, that's one thing. But if you're not from Mexico, you have to apply for asylum in Mexico. You can't apply for asylum in the United States. You have to go to the nearest non-conflict country from where you came. That's how it works.
Threat, she said.
And Ellison, those policies that we talked about that
No,
ban
she wants to come here
asylum
because
seekers
of the
from
money
crossing the
and the
southern
free
border
healthcare.
are being challenged in court. In fact, they're due to go before an appellate court in November. I talked to some of the lawyers who are challenging the Trump administration. They called the policy extreme and say that it does not allow people who might have the right to claim asylum in the United States to even get a basic screening. At the same time,
Well, you know what? Chalk that up to the Biden administration. That's their fault for allowing literally millions to pour in every single year. No, we're clamping it down. We're closing it. That's what the Americans voted
Banks
for.
said that he says the policy is
Sorry.
effective and that he will not stop until he has operational control of the border, meaning no one gets across undetected. And if they do get across, they're processed and then returned back to their home countries.
Off you go.
Ellison.
Julia Ainsley, thank you.
Oh,
So,
there you got it. All right. So I think that is basically all I've got. Oh yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to show. Yeah, I forgot to show it during the China rare earth minerals debacle. So I had a look at the Dow Jones. So the Dow Jones dropped 1.9%, not a whole lot, but it did drop 878 points today. And of course, the mainstream media, they're blaming the tariffs. I don't think they were saying a whole lot about Xi Jinping's announcement where he sent letters all over the world saying that we're clamping down on rare earth minerals, and that's going to drastically affect everybody. Also, the S&P dropped 2.71%. And I did have a look at the cryptocurrency market. It went absolutely in free fall around 5 o'clock this afternoon. Everything is just red. Even Doge is down almost 25%. Bitcoin's down damn near 10%. I think it was like 11 or 12% at the height of the downfall. And Ethereum's down almost 15%. And yeah, dude, it's not looking good. Matter of fact, so I don't really trade a whole lot in crypto. I've got a little bit in crypto, but I haven't really touched it for years. I just, long term, hoping for the best, long term. I don't know, kind of breaking even, to be honest. But anyway, I got this on my screen when I looked at Coinbase, and this was the message that I got. Degraded performance. We are aware that some users may be experiencing latency or degraded performance when transacting. Our team is investigating this issue and will provide an update shortly. Your funds are safe. No, what's really happening is that people are trading their asses off because not only Bitcoin, but also Ethereum just fucking nosedived. Here, look at this. The entire crypto market, so far, it's down 10%. And it dropped by over $400 billion within 5 minutes in an incredibly short amount of time. So I'm not too familiar with using, I don't know if I can zoom in on this or not. Okay, I think I figured it out. So you zoom in or scroll and zoom in and out. So this is just the market cap of the entire crypto industry. So it's sitting at $3.69 trillion right now. And it started going into the red at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And then by 6 o'clock p.m., it went from $4 trillion all the way down to $3.87 trillion. So let's see, it fell, by hundreds of billions of dollars. And so with Bitcoin, pretty much the same thing. Let me see if I can get it within the last 24 hours. It did a sharp dip. I mean, look at this shit. It went way down real quick. So that was at the start of the dip. That was at 4:45 p.m. And then it fell, and then it had a brief bump at 5:05 p.m. But from 5:05 to 5:20, so within 15 minutes, it went from, where was it at? It was at 114,000 per Bitcoin, which is fucking insane, man. 115,000 down to 100 and what was it? 103, 104, almost 105,000. Massive dip, but it recovered. Not fully. Of course, it's still trending downward, but I mean, that's not uncommon to happen in crypto where it just takes an instant nosedive like that. Just my assumption is probably a lot of just automated accounts. Whenever there's a signal that Bitcoin drops below a certain threshold, there's a lot of automated accounts around the world that just triggers it to automatically sell, which I don't know. I'm no expert on it, but that's just my own assumption. But Ethereum looked the same. It's just the same thing, the same dip. So there was a massive sell-off really quick. And, of course, volatility all over the place, especially with all the altcoins, the meme coins, the shit coins, all that stuff going on. Everything was just in free fall. And it's still going down. Same with Ethereum. It's still trending downward. So I guess it's something to look for throughout the weekend. I don't know if you handle crypto or not, but if you do, you might want to keep an eye on it because it looks like it's going down, starting to become a buyer's market, at least. I don't know. I think it's been a buyer's market for a little while. Not for Bitcoin, though. I mean, Bitcoin's going to the freaking moon, right? But anyway, that's all I got for this Friday this week. And if you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me if you subscribe, and I'll drop a new show every evening, Monday through Friday, covering the swamp and everyone living in it, the politicians, those bureaucrats, those agencies, and everything else. I also post daily episodes on X, so feel free to comment over there too if you'd like. And I thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your night and a great weekend, and God bless America.